It's finally official. The Tampa Bay Rays are staying in Tampa Bay. No questions asked. Hi, everyone. I'm Harrison, going solo today on the Awkward Sports Podcast. If you enjoy this episode, don't be afraid to like and subscribe and stay up to date on what the latest content we are up to. And earlier today, there's a huge press conference at Tropicana Field. It was on the regional sports network, Bally Sports. It was on the local sports station, WDAE. All of it was to announce the big plan here to stay. And it will be right where the Rays play right now. Or as Stu Sternberg, the owner, jokingly said, it'll be, actually in the parking lot. The current stadium is right here for baseball until 2028. But the important part is this almost 20-year saga, this soap opera is going to finally come to an end. There's still a final approval process, but if you went out of your way to have speeches with the mayor, government officials, the president of a major association, you don't have this event unless you damn well know this is going to happen. So before we get into the actual details of the stadium, let's just quickly talk about how we got to this point. So most of the hoopla started all the way back in 2007 for the Rays, but the first major proposal came back in 2009 that was going to be on the waterfront in St. Pete. Some of you might recognize the image of the canopy style design. They were going to even build extra areas to help support the ballpark. It would be around the area where Tampa Bay Rowdies play, downtown Al Lang Stadium. It used to be a big spring training facility. That didn't work out. It just never got on the ballot to even be voted on. So that famous plan died pretty quickly. Then you go into the 2012 Carillon Park. Not many people actually remember this one. I happen to because I've been following the Rays personally for so long, but it was going to be in the area where like St. Pete meets Clearwater. I believe that area is kind of just now where a Topgolf is. It's a big business area. That one just never came together. The big one that I think everybody, not just people from the Tampa Bay area remember, but in the entire country as a whole, is this 2018 Ybor City ballpark. The Rays had a big press conference for that. It was not to the same extent as this one where it was all about how it was official. This was more of a, here's the proposal and here's what we want to build and we'll see if we can make this happen. It didn't. It was spectacular. It was going to be almost $1 billion. It was going to be a fixed roof that went all over the internet and it didn't happen. And when that one failed, it led to the split season issue with the city of Montreal. And while this one did personally affect me with my father being from Montreal, who did not support this idea either, this went on for 2 years. And it led to a lot of turmoil. No city really wanted to support the idea of there being half a team. The league did approve of it for a bit, but then they eventually pulled it back. And that led to the killing of the idea entirely. But around 2021 and into 2023, there are 2 different rounds of proposals for redeveloping the Tropicana Field site. There had to be a version that had a ballpark and a version that didn't have a ballpark. The first round was put together by the mayor before Ken Welch, and it was decided under the new administration to overhaul it. Ken Welch had other ideas in mind, a couple that we'll get into later. And the proposal that was chosen was the Tampa Bay Rays Hines proposal. So they made a chess move where they chose the proposal that the Tampa Bay Rays were involved in. And that one was approved, and it was January or February of earlier this year. And it seems that was the major move that helped encourage the Rays to choosing to stay here for at least the next 30 years. The plan should be a 30-year lease with an option to make it 40 years should they want to stay there all the way until 2068. And no one says they can't stay further. That's just the first legal obligation they have in the contract. So let's get into some of the details that we have here. The Rays in St. Pete are nailing down a deal for a $1.3 billion stadium in the Tropicana Field parking lot. It is an 86-acre piece of land, 8 million square feet of development here. You don't really realize that when you look at it, but it just shows how much space is currently wasted on parking lot and some grass. There will be the new ballpark, which would be open in the 2028 season. The Rays would pay about half of it, and the other half would come from the city of St. Pete and Pinellas County, about $300 million from each government that would be chipped in. And the whole thing is a mixed redevelopment. It's going to be not just the ballpark. Think of it like when they started the Battery in Atlanta or Channelside for the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's not just the building anymore. The idea of you have your ballpark and just nothing but parking lot around it is a dead concept. We are back to the era where you want the neighborhood. You want the Wrigleyville, where people come there for the game, but they also come there because it's a place to be. It'll be a $6.5 billion development that should take almost 20 years to get done. And I hope it actually is within that time frame, because as we know, delays can be a thing. Things can run over budgets. I'd like to think that by the time I'm in my mid-40s, this whole thing is complete. We have more details here of what goes into this mixed development. It's said to be 4,800 residential units, 1,200 of which are affordable housing. I believe that is included in the 4,800 residential units. I don't know why it wouldn't be. 1.4 million square feet of office and medical space, 750,000 of retail space, 750 hotel rooms, a 4,000 seat entertainment venue separate from the actual ballpark. You can see that in the renderings as well, and we'll take a look at the renderings shortly. The ballpark will be a 30,000 seater, can fit up to 35,000 for other events. Will have a fixed roof. So no retractable roof. It's not open air. Trust me, this is for the best. You do not want an open air stadium for almost the entire time baseball is going in the state of Florida. You might have a week where it's nice in April, and then the rest of the time, everyone is wishing they were home in the air conditioning. So even if you had a retractable roof, it is closed. You might as well just have a roof to begin with. And well, there are probably going to be options for people who want to sit outside for at least part of the game. I mean, they have that at the Trop as well if you take the time to go find it. But what else do we got? 100,000 square feet of conference meeting space, 50,000 in nonprofit community space, and there's 14 acres of open parks and green space. So I assume they're going to build multiple parks for just people to hang out in and play in. 14 acres is also a lot of land. That's out of 86, that's about an eighth of the space going to green space, which it's good. It creates a healthy outside environment. It feels less concrete when you go with that concept. And I think it makes sense. And they still managed to find room for 14,000 parking spaces. I would assume a lot of this is garages. That's probably the most efficient way to do it. One of the venues there will be the Woodson African American Museum of Florida. That's already in St. Pete. And it'll be nice to have something in the gas plant district like that museum. And I mentioned the gas plant district. We will get to that also shortly. It also has to do with why the president of the African American Heritage Association was at the event. But the important part is it just seems like it is a good balance between benefit for baseball and a benefit for the community. And a lot of that goes to the credit of Mayor Ken Welch and the city and county governments. No one backed off of the idea at all. No one bended. The whole idea when Welch came into this is we are going to make sure that people from the gas plant district get what they were promised back in the 80s. That's why the whole community was torn down to build the Trop. And now it's going to be that maybe some of this will be fulfilled. I would hope so. It would be very nice. It does help too that Mayor Welch is someone who grew up in that neighborhood. So it's personal for him, which gives him just that extra passion to make this happen. Unfortunately, I don't think it would have been as likely if someone was not from there. It's just sometimes having that personal background just helps with making a certain dream become a reality. Let's just take a quick look at the pictures here from this ballpark design. You can see here in the first photo, there's this small riverway that cuts through near the ballpark. I would assume from this angle, the ballpark is in the top right corner. You have stairs. There's, the generic photo of people walking around. You get an idea of what the green space is going to look like. The next photo, you'll see an aerial view. You get to see the building and some of the office spaces. Likely some of these are also hotels and condominiums. The roof kind of reminds me of it's like the fortune tellers that you'd use when you were a kid, and it would tell you something on the inside. That's what it looks like to me, but they call it more of like the pyramid design. I can also see why that is too. Here's another shot from the opposite side of where we looked. This is just more of a standard walkway photo near an entrance. You can see Raymond just kind of hanging out. So you got to fit him in there somewhere. But the first big image I'm interested in is this next one, where you get to see the inside of the ballpark. I like this. The first design we ever saw when they revealed everything was very stripped down. It was just it almost just looked like the Tropicana field currently, but square. But now you get to see the different lights. You can see the design where people are going to hang out in the outfield. It looks like there might be 2 large Ray tanks, which if you've ever been to a Rays game, you've probably been to the Ray tank or the Stingray tank out in the outfield. You go there, and the fact that you might be able to see 2 big options is going to get a lot of people excited. The concept definitely feels way more open, like it's inside, but it almost doesn't necessarily feel as enclosed the same way the Trop does. So if this ended up being the exact design they go with, obviously things change. If we know anything from Globe Life Park in Texas, it's never always exactly how you want it to be. But even if it was 90% of the way there for this, I'd be very on board. And lastly, we'll just show the main photo. You see the stadium from a distance. It looks nice. You get to see the full thing, the entertainment center. And I would say if this is what we got, people would love it. I am not paid to say that at all. I'm sure this design has its critics, but if you build this, I think a lot of people are going to be interested. It definitely fits the vibe that you get when you expand into downtown, which St. Pete's been trying to get a little more into this vibe for the last few years. It definitely fits the design concept of the pier that they built and finished in 2020. I'll drop a photo right here quickly so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. I can say all I want. Oh yeah, this fits the vibe. And someone says, how? Well, here's an example of how it does. But there's still one big question that I think still needs to be addressed. And that the big one is, so what about Tampa? I would say is, well, what about Tampa? And everyone says, well, Tampa, it's in the name, Tampa Bay. They're supposed to play in Tampa. What even is St. Pete? Isn't Tampa Bay the city name? And you're telling me they're not playing there? Well, yes, I am. First of all, the Rays, again, they don't play in Tampa. And Tampa Bay is not a city, it's a region. This isn't really the same thing, but imagine you hear about the Warriors building their arena in San Francisco and someone just says, well, what's Golden State going to do about this? Not the same thing, but it's the closest thing I could come up with. But the truth is, Tampa was absolutely the favorite to get the Rays for a while. Everyone said it was the best geographically for people to drive there. The Bucks do well in Tampa. The Lightning do well in Tampa. You'd have all three teams near each other, especially if you put the Rays in the Ybor Channel side area. You could hop the trolley and go from Amalie Arena up to Rays Ybor Stadium in really not a lot of time. I've gone to Tampa, hung out at night, and I have done that. It's a cool idea. It really is. But the reality is Tampa just couldn't get it done, and St. Petersburg could. It is not a fun answer, but that's just the reality. At one point earlier this year, it seemed like maybe Tampa was going to come with another proposal after they announced this one in St. Pete's, but nothing ever came of it. And I know Mayor Jane Castor in Tampa said, on the bright side, we got baseball in Tampa Bay for years to come. It is something that a lot of people in Tampa probably feel like. And if they had gone to Tampa, I'm sure people in St. Pete who likes their ballpark being on their side of the bay would have said the same thing. But also at the same time, when you really think about it, like, how would you have reacted if you didn't get that diplomatic answer? Like, what if Castor had just gone up there and said, we really think this is a stupid idea. The Rays need to be with us. We are Tampa, and we want all of our teams to be in Tampa. Shame on St. Pete for keeping the team. Like, you just wouldn't get that answer. So, of course, Castor is going to say, at least they're staying for years to come. And even here's the thing about attendance that I say, okay, I get it. The Lightning sell out almost every game, but the Lightning are one of the greatest entertainment products in sports. And the Bucks, well, outside of Tom Brady, newsflash, they don't always do well attendance-wise. I've been to Bucks games where it's only like 70% full, and they are probably in the best location when it comes to being a close drive in the entire Tampa Bay area. So on top of that already, I have an example that says it is probably not a guarantee you're going to do well if you go across the bay. And yes, and that's why I still say I think the idea of the 30-minute drive is a legitimate argument. But also, I still think it can work in St. Pete's. We talk about attendance. Let's pull up those numbers actually while we're at it. Okay, so if you see here, we're going to do the last 5 seasons unaffected by COVID. We're going to leave out 2020 and 2021. One year couldn't have fans at all, and the other one had, limited capacity for part of the year. Not everyone was comfortable going out. We wanted to stick with the years where COVID was as less of an issue as possible, or if not at all, because it's before 2020. As you can see, in 2023, attendance has a huge boost because the Rays are really good. It seems like a lot of the issues about the team leaving are farther and further into the past now. And then you have it where when the team wasn't good before 2019, I know they won 90 games in 2018, but that was more of a hot streak at the end of the season that allowed them to get there. They were at 500 when they traded Chris Archer to the Pirates for Glasnow, Meadows, and Boz. A lot has changed. And yeah, if you look at this alone, it says, okay, when the team is far away and not doing well, yeah, maybe that is something that will discourage people from going. But you can even see in 2023, as a team is good, attendance is going up. But wait, Harrison, hold up. That's still not even 18,000 people. And that is true. But let me also make one more statistical argument that shows it can be done. And we're going to go back to a few years, same ballpark, same area. Actually, when it was less vibrant when I was a kid. Let's pull up the stats for 2008, 2009, and 2010. Now, if this hurts your narrative of the Rays don't have fans or it's just too far, shield your eyes. You're not going to like this fact. When the Rays were very good and exciting for the first time, and remember, this is 3 years, so By 2010, usually the idea and the excitement start to wear off. No, this showed a consistent sign that things could be stable. 23,000 per game, almost 2 million fans for the whole season. This is at Tropicana Field. This isn't in Tampa. This is in St. Pete, Florida, back when there was, the old pier getting ready to close. The area of the sundial that used to be Baywalk was on the way out. People didn't go downtown. When I was a kid, you didn't go downtown. You went anywhere but when you didn't have work. Not everyone even felt safe going downtown. And in this time, attendance was the best it ever was. So what changed that? Well, one, a lot of the big stars people like got traded away after or signed elsewhere after the 2010 season. Crawford left, Garza left, Bartlett left. A lot of key players, Rafael Soriano, I believe it was like 8 notable players were gone in 1 year. And then on top of that, Longoria missed the first month of 2011. So when you add all those things together, it led to a drop in attendance. And then the Rays stopped being good from about 2014 to 2017, which made it worse. Because now it's like, okay, favorite players are traded and the team's not as good anymore. So less people go. But it's starting to fix itself. But now that the area is getting better, more vibrant, think about it. You build this whole concept here, and I'm putting the picture back up so you can look at it again. Who needs to go to Hyde Park for their bougie stuff when there's going to be great shops here? You don't think there's going to be some kind of great Sephora, or I guarantee there will be a department store here guaranteed, because this is going to be a very nice mix of nice shops, your regular places to go and eat, your nice restaurants. It's going to take what downtown has become, which is a go-to place to be, and we'll bring that further west. And on top of that, it'll benefit everybody, people of minority backgrounds, people of lower income. Even just your average person who's doing well, middle class, is going to benefit from this one way or another. And how do I know? Is because they were going to redevelop the place too, whether or not there was a ballpark. That's one of the nice things about this redevelopment. The main focus was not the ballpark. It was the people. But now we get all that benefit, plus baseball gets to stay. All the cool things you get to go to, plus baseball, means more people are going to come. Even if you didn't intend on going to the game that day, you're already there. There's going to be a lot of people who just say, I'm already here. Might as well go to the game, even if it's only for a few innings or, whatever situation it could be. But the bottom line is, a ballpark in St. Petersburg can be very successful, astronomically successful. The Tampa Bay area is only getting bigger. And another fun fact too, Pinellas County is already one of the most densely populated counties in the entire state of Florida. I think it might be the most dense if you don't account for the fact that Broward is more compact to the side because of the Everglades. They count the whole county, or else that would probably be way more densely populated. But there's a lot of people around St. Pete's without Tampa. And the infrastructure to get downtown to St. Pete is only getting better. If you go to 275, the Howard Franklin Bridge, they're adding a third span. They are accounting for the fact that there is way more traffic now and in the future as Tampa becomes more and more like an Atlanta or a Miami or a Houston. That's just the reality. This is no longer going to be quiet little St. Pete, Tampa that got themselves a little baseball park with a baseball team. How cute. It's a major metropolitan area now. It's why they realized going to Nashville, Charlotte, Montreal, or Portland or anywhere else was not the better decision, as more attractive than names might sound in the immediate now. In the long run, it is all St. Pete and Tampa Bay. It's growing. It is going to work. And if you still don't agree with me after my argument, then I kindly suggest you meet me back here in 2058 when we are all getting ready to collect our Social Security checks, and we can have this debate again.
Hey, thanks for watching this latest episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit like and subscribe and stay up to date on what's going on with Awkward Sports Media. See you next time.